Welcome back to the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. And coming up here on the show, more trade buzz from NFL insider Dianna Russini. She dropped a lot of trade nuggets over the weekend, and obviously a lot of that, including some nuggets on the San Francisco 49ers. Before we get to all of the latest Niners trade buzz, let's get the channel to 178,000 subscribers. We're really building something special here, and we're bringing you daily coverage of San Francisco. So, as you can see with the numbers to my right, we're closing in on 178K. And if you want Niners coverage that's elite coming your way every single day here on YouTube, lock us in, join the movement, and subscribe today. Here's what Russini said about the current state of the 49ers, and this was obviously going into that Sunday Night Football game. She always drops these Saturday morning articles. The 49ers are holding on for dear life, but some help is finally on the way. Coaches are hopeful that George Kittle's return can stabilize a passing game that's been operating on fumes without multiple starters. Of course, Mac Jones has done a terrific job with San Francisco. He is now 4-1 as the starter, and George Kittle will help with the passing game over time, right? But he got targeted 2 times against Atlanta, didn't have a single catch because Kyle Shanahan had a game plan. And he talked about this after the game. They wanted to get to a targeted number of running plays and run it between 30 and 40 times. They wanted to play bully ball. They wanted to snatch the Snolls out of the Atlanta Falcons, and they were able to do that because they got physical and a lot of runs were in between the tackles, and they bulldozed that Atlanta defense. A defense for the Falcons, led by former Niner Jeff Ulbrich, by the way, who was on Robert Saleh's Jets staff, that came into that game as one of the top defenses in the NFL. But San Francisco, for the first time all year, got the ground game going. And a big reason for that, the presence and the blocking talent of George Kittle. When Kittle was on the field, the Niners averaged per carry 1.4 yards before contact. They ran, when Kittle was on the field, for 151 rushing yards and both of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns. When Kittle was off the field, that number before contact, minus 2.1 yards before contact. And the Niners as a team ran it 6 times and only picked up 12 rushing yards. That is an average of 2 yards per carry. So yes, Niners coaches know that over time, George Kittle is going to help a passing game that is on fumes, even though I'd call cap on that because Mac Jones has averaged more than 300 passing yards per game, but obviously a talent like that, the best tight end in football, is going to aid, help out, and maximize the aerial attack for San Francisco. But as I talked about all week, in the lead up to that Falcons game, it was also going to help out the run game, and it certainly did that, and Christian McCaffrey looked like the best running back in football once again. Back to Russini with her reporting on the Niners. Mac Jones will make his 5th start of the season at quarterback on Sunday night, with Brock Purdy still battling turf toe. Inside the building, Jones has earned respect for how quickly he's picked up Kyle Shanahan's offense and for keeping things afloat despite all of the injuries around him. San Francisco expects Purdy and receiver Ricky Pearsall to be ready in Week 8. The Niners are hanging on by a thread, but with Kittle back and Jones settling in, they might just have enough to stay in the fight a little longer. Again, Russini reported this and put together this article prior to Sunday Night Football. Well, what happened in primetime, in front of the entire country, in front of the world? The Niners had such an impressive win, so much resilience, so much physical and mental toughness. They beat Atlanta 20-10, and the Niners are now 5-2, very much alive. Of note, during that broadcast, NBC had reported that Brock Purdy is day-to-day, but there's no timeline for his return. And NBC reported that Purdy even said himself, any move or step in the wrong direction could be a serious setback. And Purdy had talked about how the injury is so annoying. He's never dealt with anything like this, and he doesn't know when it can get re-aggravated, like with what happened when he played against the Jags. I would not be surprised if we see Mac Jones once again in Week 8 for the Niners. As far as Ricky Pearsall, we'll just see. He's been an injury-prone player, and it's not just the gunshot wound, which has nothing to do with him being injury-prone. As for the latest on Trey Hendrickson, despite drawing interest according to Russini, most around the NFL do not expect a trade after that big Thursday Night Football win for Cincinnati, where Joe Flacco outdueled Aaron Rodgers, and both of them were incredible in that game. Now, I do think that the tune of Cincinnati can maybe alter and change a little bit. The Bengals have 3 wins now, and the AFC North is wide open because it's been one of the weirder divisions in football because the Ravens have 1 win. Who thought that was going to happen going into Week 8? They're coming off the bye. We don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to be able to come back this week, but the Ravens are kind of a disaster. But the Browns picked up a big win on Sunday against the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins stink, but as far as a win for for Cleveland, they needed it. Cincinnati has those 3 wins. Pittsburgh has played well, but that defense needs to get it figured out. Aaron Rodgers has played pretty well. So for Cincinnati, they're in the thick of the race right now, which is why they might not trade away Trey Hendrickson. We're always rooting for the Bengals to lose so that Cincinnati can become sellers going into the deadline. They know that Burrow is coming back in December. And if he can come back in December and they're still in the race, Joe Burrow can beat any quarterback or any team in the NFL. But the Bengals' next 2 games, we'll monitor these against the Jets at home and against the Bears at home. Here's what Russini did say about the Niners' ties to Trey Hendrickson. Bengals All-Pro pass rusher Trey Hendrickson is drawing attention around the league, with the 49ers showing the most interest. Cincinnati is not shopping him, and after the Bengals' Thursday night win, most do not expect him to get moved. You want to know why I talk about these trade rumors and Hendrickson maybe going to the Niners? Because the Niners are showing interest in Trey Hendrickson. It's of note. That would be a blockbuster move, and he's a fantastic player. Now, Jeffrey Simmons, Justin Simmons, a all-pro safety who's currently a free agent. Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans, is one of the top interior defensive linemen in football. He is not an edge rusher, but he could help the Niners pass rush. Russini said every Titans player except Simmons and Cam Ward are available. The Titans have 1 win, probably the second to worst team in the NFL, right ahead of the New York Jets. Wouldn't surprise me if they get wowed by a big offer and they move an older player who's making a lot of money, but we'll see. The Dolphins, also a dumpster fire. Mike McDaniel, former Niners offensive guru, he's lost the locker room. And Miami has 1 win. They just lost to Cleveland. They choked a game a couple of weeks ago against the Carolina Panthers. It's not good for McDaniel. And the players don't seem to respect him. There are question marks about the culture that always reflects on the head coach. They could go full fire sale mode going into the deadline. 2 players to look out for edge help for the Niners. Bradley Chubb, older player, no more guaranteed money left on his deal. He has 4 sacks and 13 pressures this year. Or if the Niners want to bring in a younger player, Jaelin Phillips, coming off a torn Achilles last year, starting to round into form. The talent is there, 2 sacks and 20 pressures. Another young player who I would love for San Francisco, and I think Robert Saleh would like to reunite with him, another young player, defensive end Jermaine Johnson, who thrived under Saleh. He too tore his Achilles last year, but he's also starting to get healthy. Russini saying the Jets are getting calls on running back Breece Hall. I think Kansas City makes a lot of sense there, in addition to Jermaine Johnson. More trade buzz to come just around the corner. But first, if you've been watching this show for a long time, you know that I love woodworking. You know that I love tough and gritty jobs. My favorite job growing up, working maintenance at a golf course where I would cut greens and fairways and approaches and tee boxes. And when I was doing that job, I wish I had Brunt work boots. Now I do, and it's made my life so much easier. And here's what I mean by that. When you're picking out work boots, it used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. That was the case when I got out of high school and I was working at the golf course, right? If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work, like a lot of people who watch this show, shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. Well, I have worn these Marin work boots. They are both comfortable. And they are also durable. They also look great. They have awesome materials. I love the leather on these. That's what makes it comfortable and durable. And founder of the company, Brunt, Eric Girard, he grew up blue collar. He started Brunt Workwear after his friends in the trades kept telling him the big brands had stopped listening and hadn't changed in 100 years. They had sold out to become fashion brands. His buddies encouraged him to start a brand new company and a brand built for them. And that's why all Brunt products are named after the guys who grew up with. Real hardworking tradesmen. Cool story there. And so for a limited time, our listeners, our viewers, get $10 off at Brunt when you use our code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code CHAT, and you are good to go. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. We work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. They built something better, Brunt. Boots that are insanely comfortable, built for any job site. So again, limited time, our listeners get $10 off. bruntworkwear.com/chat. Use that code CHAT. More Russini trade buzz. The Chargers got off to that 3-0 start. They've started to reel since then in recent weeks because of all of the injuries. They lost Rashawn Slater at offensive tackle after they gave him a bag. Joe Alt, ankle sprain. He's been out for a long time. He's a stud. Omarion Hampton on injured reserve, a rookie running back who they really liked. And so they're looking for running back and offensive line help. I can see where the Chargers are coming from there. Also keep in mind Jim Harbaugh, as many of you know from his Niner tenure, likes to run the ball. He values offensive linemen. He looks at them as skill players. Kyle Shanahan, I wish he would listen. And he wants a physical team. Right now, they're not playing like that. The Chiefs, they are looking for defensive line help. Right now, they're scary. And I think right now they're playing like the best team in football. Offensively, they've gotten it together. Rashee Rice is back. The defense is playing well. They did lose rookie defensive lineman Omar Norman Lott to a torn ACL, so they could be looking to make a trade for a defensive lineman. I'd love to see what Breece Hall could do with Kansas City from an X's and O's football standpoint, even though I hate the Chiefs. The Raiders open to trading wide receiver Jacoby Myers. The Raiders are an absolute joke. The Lions looking for edge help opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. That's been a problem over the last couple of years for them. They haven't been able to get edge rusher 2 right, and obviously that hurt them last year when Hutchinson went down. The Colts, I think they're for real. At some point, you just have to give them flowers, right? Shane Steichen's doing a heck of a job with Daniel Jones. They need some pieces on defense, I think, and because they're good, second best team in the AFC, they could look to go all in. Looking for corner and overall defensive help, they make sense to trade for a defensive end. The New Orleans Saints, they're feisty. They're a fun, bad team. They're highly competitive. They might extend Chris Olave. The Jags looking for defensive help. They have forced so many turnovers this year, but you can't count on that week in and week out. They just need some more bodies there. The Cowboys' offense has been elite statistically. The defense, horrid. They're looking for defensive help. The Patriots, they're looking like a true playoff team in the AFC. Drake May has been balling, looking for a running back and defensive line help. And then the Giants not really aggressively targeting a wide receiver. I disagree with that. I think they should be all in trying to find a wide out. And let me just bring this back to the forefront. What I would do if I'm the Niners, call the Las Vegas Raiders, inquire about Maxx Crosby. Kyle Shanahan has said, we want players who can help us now and in the future. Maxx Crosby is still young. Maxx Crosby is still elite. He's not going anywhere. I know he's highly paid, but Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and Deommodore Lenoir are the only high-priced players that you have on defense. Add Maxx Crosby to the mix, and he greatly enhances your chances of being a Super Bowl contender this year. The Raiders are a straight-up joke. I think Las Vegas should trade him and rebuild, and I think that they can get back multiple firsts and multiple premium picks for him, and that helps you rebuild pretty quickly. You don't have to pay a player a high contract and you get multiple picks back. You can turn that organization around pretty quickly if you hit on those picks. Right now, Maxx Crosby is wasting his career away with Las Vegas, and he would be a perfect type of Niner player. He would be a perfect scheme fit. Once Nick Bosa comes back, he, Mykel Williams, and Bosa can all play defensive end or defensive tackle and share the field at the same time. And the Niners have shown interest in a player like this before. They've shown interest in Maxx Crosby before. So if I'm John Lynch, I'm making that call. You're 5-2. The NFL landscape is wide open. I'm not necessarily going like all in, but I think that you could trade for Maxx Crosby, and he could be a difference maker this year and for the future, and in turn, that helps out your entire defense. So who do you want to see the Niners trade for? Let me know down in the comments section. Join the conversation. Thank you so much for watching and supporting, and we'll catch you soon.